When you work with hazardous materials, one of the most important things you can do to stay safe is to be informed. The more you know about a material and its hazards, the better you can protect yourself. To ensure that employees have this information, OSHA introduced the Hazard Communication Standard HAZCOM in 1983. Since then, it has been updated several times to clarify its requirements and account for technological shifts in the industry. But one thing that has stayed consistent is the standard's stance on the importance of easy-to-read and accessible safety data sheets. In this program, we'll discuss what safety data sheets are, the information they contain, how they are organized, as well as how you can use this information to protect yourself, your coworkers, and your facility. When you don't know enough about a material you're working with or its hazards, there is a higher chance that you will injure yourself or your coworkers. And if there is a spill or accidental exposure, knowing the emergency procedures that you should follow can be the difference between a speedy recovery and a life-altering injury. For any material that you work with, you should know exactly what the material is and what its hazards are, what procedures you should follow in handling and storing it, and what you should do if there's an emergency involving the material. Conveniently, you can find all this information and more in one place, the Material Safety Data Sheet, SDS. Under OSHA's Hazard Communication Standard, hazmat producers and distributors are required to provide safety data sheets for each of their products. The information that safety data sheets contain, and the way they present that information, is done according to the Globally Harmonized System of Classification and Labeling of Chemicals. This system, called GHS for short, was established by the United Nations to help people anywhere in the world get accurate information about hazardous materials regardless of what language they speak. It accomplishes this by standardizing how materials are classified, how their hazards and safety precautions are described, how those facts are conveyed, and how pictograms are used to indicate a material's hazards. GHS safety data sheets organize hazmat information about a material into 16 numbered sections, which always appear in the same order. Data that's likely to be needed in a hurry, such as a material's name, composition, hazards, safety precautions, and emergency procedures is presented in the first 6 sections. Information on safe handling and storage procedures is located in the middle of the SDS, followed by more specialized technical information toward the end. All of the data in GHS safety data sheets is presented using clear, non-technical language and standard phrasing. So it's easy for people who work with hazmats to get the information they need when they need it. Companies that use or handle hazardous materials should keep their SDSs in a central location, so all workers have easy access to them. In some cases, companies may store safety data sheets in a way that covers groups of hazardous chemicals that are used in a work area or a process. When you are around hazmats on the job, you want to be able to access the information you need about how to work with them safely, quickly, and easily. So GHS safety data sheets follow a first things first approach to presenting hazmat information, making it easy to find and use even when you're in a hurry. The first 3 sections of an SDS answer the questions, what is this material, and what are its hazards? Section 1 is product identification. This includes a chemical's official name, which GHS calls the product identifier, as well as any other chemical or trade names by which the substance is known. It also provides the name and contact information of the company that supplied the material, and includes a 24-hour emergency telephone number. Section 2, Hazard Identification, provides information on a material's hazards, including its hazard classification, such as flammable solid, hazard statement, such as harmful if inhaled, and its signal word, which will be either warning or danger, depending on how hazardous the substance is. It also contains a pictogram with symbols depicting its hazards. Section 2 also describes safety precautions that should be used while you're working with the material, such as keep away from heat, do not breathe vapor, and wear protective gloves. As you can see, one objective of the GHS system is to make hazmat information as user-friendly as possible by presenting it in plain language. The third section of a GHS safety data sheet provides technical details about a material's composition, including information about any other chemicals that it contains. This can be particularly important when a substance is a mixture of a number of ingredients. One thing to note is that some manufacturers want to avoid listing the exact quantities of their ingredients so they can protect their trade secrets. So to help companies protect their product formulations while still making sure workers are getting the information that they need to work with it safely, OSHA allows manufacturers to provide a prescriptive range in Section 3 for the quantities of the ingredients that make up the material. OSHA helps them with this by providing a list of ranges they can use, such as 0.1% to 1%, 5% to 10%, 30% to 60%, 80% to 100%, as well as narrower ranges OSHA has developed. Manufacturers can also use their own ranges, as long as they are more narrow than those on OSHA's list. Section 3 also includes the material's common name and any synonyms it has, its Chemical Abstract Service (CAS) number, and any other unique identifiers. No one wants to think that they will be involved in a hazmat emergency, but the fact is they do happen, and being prepared is the best way to combat them and control the damage that can result. That's why Sections 4, 5, and 6 of a GHS safety data sheet contain information on how to handle different types of hazmat emergencies for the material. For example, if someone has been exposed to a hazardous material, you should turn to Section 4 for information on first aid measures. The directions are organized according to how the victim was exposed, from inhaling the substance, swallowing it, or through skin contact. It will also tell you whether the victim will require emergency medical assistance. If a hazmat is involved in a fire, Section 5 of its SDS provides detailed information on the firefighting measures that should be used with it. This includes what extinguishing agents are appropriate for the substance and which are not. It also offers information regarding any new hazards that the material can create when it burns, such as toxic smoke. Lastly, Section 5 describes the precautions, procedures, and protective equipment that professional firefighters should use when extinguishing a fire that involves the hazmat. When a hazmat is spilled or leaked, you'll want to go to Section 6 of its GHS safety data sheet, which discusses accidental release measures. In addition to emergency procedures and the safety precautions that should be taken in the event of a spill or leak, this section describes the methods, materials, and equipment that should be used to contain and clean up the substance. Instructions in this section can include things such as ventilate the area, Wear protective eyewear, gloves, and clothing. And dam and absorb spillage with sand, earth, or other non-combustible materials. To provide easy access to the data you need most urgently, GHS safety data sheets present hazmat information in priority order. The first 6 sections of an SDS tell you what you'll want to know in a crisis when every second counts. But the best way to steer clear of hazmat injuries is by preventing emergencies from happening in the first place. So the information in SDS sections 7 through 10 describes the safe handling practices that can help you to avoid hazmat exposure incidents and spills. For instance, Section 7 is titled Handling and Storage and includes the precautions that you should take when working with a substance, as well as the conditions that it requires to be stored safely. This section can include warnings such as avoid contact with skin, eyes, and clothing, keep away from ignition sources, store in a cool location, and keep away from combustible material. Section 8, Exposure Controls and Personal Protection, provides details about engineering controls and personal protective equipment, PPE, that you should use when you're working with a material. Engineering controls are mechanical safety devices that are incorporated into a facility to help prevent hazmat exposure. They can include things like ventilation systems, gas detectors, eye wash stations, and safety showers. The personal protective equipment information may state that working with some materials might mean you have to wear PPE such as rubber gloves, goggles, face shields, or a respirator. Section 8 of an SDS also specifies how much exposure to a material is safe and at what level it becomes dangerous. These benchmarks are known as permissible exposure limits, PELs, and threshold limit values, TLVs. Section 9 of an SDS lists a material's physical and chemical properties. Some of this information, such as what the substance looks and smells like, can help employees who are unfamiliar with a material tell whether an accidental release has occurred. Other data in this section, such as the temperatures at which a material melts or boils and its flash point, can help safety specialists create the controls and procedures that allow employees to work with the substance safely. Section 10 of an SDS contains information on a material's stability and reactivity, which can be very important in ensuring that the material is handled safely. Substances that are unstable or highly reactive may explode or undergo uncontrolled chemical reactions under certain conditions, or when they are combined with other incompatible chemicals. Most people who use GHS safety data sheets want hazmat information that's user-friendly and presented in clear, non-technical language. But other SDS users, including supervisors, environmental managers, and industrial hygienists, need to know specific technical details about a material. To find these, they can look in sections 11 through 16 of an SDS. For instance, Section 11, Toxicological Information, focuses on the adverse effects that a hazardous substance can have on living things. This data includes how toxic a substance is, how it can get into the body, the symptoms of exposure, and the acute and chronic effects that it can have, including its potential to cause cancer. Section 12, Ecological Information, discusses the environmental impact a chemical can have if it leaks or spills. It describes how the material behaves when it is released into the earth, air, and water, how long it can remain in these elements, and what effects it can have on plants, wildlife, and other aspects of the environment. Section 13, Disposal Considerations, explains how a material should be cleaned up, as well as the precautions that should be taken when disposing of it. For example, if a material is flammable, it might need to be cleaned up using non-sparking tools. Section 14, Transport Information, provides data that is required when a material is being transported, including its proper name, UN number, hazard categories, and safety precautions. Section 15, Regulatory Information, lists any additional safety, health, and environmental regulations that apply to a product that have not been listed anywhere else on the SDS. And last but not least, Section 16, Other Information, contains data about a substance that doesn't fit into any of the previous sections, as well as specific information on how and when the SDS itself was prepared and revised. As we've seen, there is a lot to know about the hazardous materials you work with. And the faster and easier you can find this information, the safer you will be. GHS safety data sheets provide you with information that is easy to access and easy to read. So you need to know where they are, what you can expect to find in them, and in what sections it's located. Let's review. OSHA's Hazard Communication Standard protects employees' right to know about the hazmats they work with. One of its main components is the creation and use of safety data sheets. Workers can use safety data sheets to learn about a material's characteristics, how to work with it safely, and what to do in an emergency involving it. All SDSs must follow the 16-section format that was established by the UN's Globally Harmonized System, GHS. Sections 1 through 3 of an SDS give basic information about what the material is, its ingredients, and how to identify it. Sections 4 through 6 of an SDS describe emergency response measures that workers should take if there is a spill or accidental exposure. Sections 7 through 10 of SDSs set out the safe work practices and the personal protective equipment that workers should use to work safely with the hazmats in their facility. Sections 11 through 16 of an SDS give people like supervisors, environmental managers, and industrial hygienists technical information about a material, such as its toxicology and potential ecological impact. Now that you know how to use GHS safety data sheets to find the information that you need to work with hazmat safely, you can help to create a safer workplace and community every day.